All right, well, welcome to another edition of the Fish Fiddler. We are going to talk about a new innovation update. So we've got a little bit of a new website going on. It's I like it really. It's a lot different than what you're used to seeing. It's based on, at least the main part of it at this point, a Wiki. A wiki, in case you don't know, like Wikipedia, is an environment designed to allow people to edit it. Of course, in the wild, you can't let just anybody edit it because there are people who will mess with your stuff in an undesirable way. So I'm using a wiki. It's kind of like a free-form database, and so I'm setting it how I want it and then uploading it. And so you can actually close articles and search and do all kinds of stuff. But of course you can't edit it because you don't have write permission of the director. But what you can do is hit save, and it'll download to your phone or computer or something potentially. At least that's how it worked on my phone. And so if I have a whole bunch of useful information all in this one file, you can hit download and you get it all, and then you can look at it offline. So I can build a big database of fish knowledge if it develops to that point, and you can grab it all. Now if I get too much stuff, I might have separate wikis that are kind of linked to each other, and I'm not there yet. So anyway, that's that. There's a bulletin board system that's on there. It might not be the one I stay with, and I've got a lot of stuff I've started, so I'm not sure when it's going to get attention. But I just posted a new article, the first fish-related article. Everything else is just kind of infrastructure, background, setting things up, called Getting Started with Fish Keeping. And what it is, it's a transcript of a chat with an AI, with Llama 4. And it's interesting because I ask it some stuff about fish keeping, and then it gives its answer, and it's kind of a consensus of everything, the average of what you find on the internet, sort of. And so I disagree on some points, and so I kind of push back a little bit, and then it responds. And that seems to be a good way to kind of analyze, work through this stuff. I'm still putting my input out there, but then I get the objections back, and then I can kind of counter those with some other points. And so that seems like a pretty effective way to kind of make the case for whether this is a reasonable perspective or not. So I want to share a little bit with you on that. Oh, so the website is fishfiddler.us, and if you just go there, right now, the first thing is an intro that's collapsed, and you just hit the little double down arrow and it'll open if you want to. Or the next one right below that is Getting Started with Fish Keeping, the new one I'm talking about. So anyway, I ask it, what should I learn first to get into fish keeping? How do I set up an aquarium? How can I do it on a budget? I like learning through books. What are some good Aquarist titles? And so it gives me some stuff. It has some of the standard boilerplate, like do a bunch of research. I'm asking it a question. Why didn't it just tell me directly what it thinks? Learn about the basics of aquarium setup and fish care. Isn't that what I'm asking it to tell me? Choose the right equipment. Well, what's the right equipment? Come on. Aquarium tank, filter, heater, lighting, select the right fish, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, there's more or less useful information. Start small, shop secondhand. You can get a 10-gallon tank for cheap. I got mine at Petco, and they have tanks, pretty good deal on tanks, and they have sales too from time to time, and they're as good as what you're going to get just about anywhere. Just a basic 10-gallon tank. Bought it, put some goldfish in it. I kind of told it my situation there, and it was a little bit horrified. Conditioning tanks is kind of obnoxious. It takes several days and whatever. Well, you can make that a lot easier. I've got a pond in my yard, and it's a little pond. It's like a 50-gallon plastic pond liner set into the ground, and it's been out there for a long enough time. It's a pretty natural environment. So I scooped water out of that, and I've kept goldfish in it before. So I scooped water out of that, put it in my tank, put the goldfish in. Of course, it was murky enough I couldn't really see them in there, and that's not what you want ultimately, but it's, you don't have to worry about cycling the tank or hurting the fish because they're already happy in there. So then I picked a filter, it didn't work very good, picked another one that worked better. The water clarified over a number of days, and then I learned how to manage it from there. And that same tank, I later put in angelfish, these goldfish. They were a lot smaller, and the more angelfish than these, but these were in there. And they were in there for a while until they got too big, and I put them over here. Got this tank. And there's a pleco still in there, one pleco in there. I had this tank by the time I got the plecos, and I put 3 of them in here and 1 of them over there. And So anyway, it cautions about, oh, you might want to think pond water is a good idea, but it brings in all these, pathogens and bacteria. So, well, cycling the tank is all about developing bacteria in the tank. And if that's already a developed ecosystem, perfect. I don't remember where this was, but I remember somebody had a real fancy aquarium and it just was dirty and you couldn't keep it clean and balanced, and somebody scooped out a little bit of mud and water and pond and dumped in there and the whole thing clarified. There's a lot of good organisms from outside stuff. That's a huge advantage for doing freshwater, actually, if you don't live by the ocean, which I don't, because I have access to fresh water, whether it's a pond in my yard or whether it's a creek or a pond or river. There's a nearby river. There's lots of stuff around here. I can go get waterlogged wood. That piece of wood, and that one. We're in a natural environment, and when I first put them in there, those fish were just eating on them. There was something, whether it was a algae or bacteria or something that they really benefited from. They were eating it up. I should probably go collect some more stuff to put in there to kind of help them out some more. So anyway, that's kind of what I've done on this project that I haven't told you about. Is I've been setting up this website, trying to decide how I wanted to lay it out a little bit, and then trying some different things. I want something that I like the organization of, and it doesn't take me a huge burden. I've written web pages before, and it can be a lot of work. It can be, fun to get it how you want it, but it's been years, really. I haven't kept up on all the latest in web design, and to some degree I like that. I prefer the internet in some ways the way it was before, when people had websites and they were not super elaborate. HTML was intended to be flexible and fit on every screen size and every different computer, and we've gone away from that a lot. So this one is not completely backwards compatible. It does use JavaScript, but it's fairly compatible and looks nice and has some nice features like built-in search, for instance. And so I'm pretty pleased with that setup. I like the fact that you can download the whole thing just all in one go. I'm not trying to keep you from getting to whatever information I might have out there. You can just download the whole thing and you've just got it, and it'll run locally. And once you have it local, you can edit it yourself. Now, TiddlyWiki has a couple of projects that have a modified web browser so that you can save it locally without. That's gotten to be a problem with some of the security features in modern web browsers. It's harder to do offline, so they've got modified versions of the browser that you can run this app to look at it and stuff. It makes it a little easier. So anyway, that's an intro to TiddlyWiki, my website, fishfiddler.us. Quite a few features there, and the new article that's there, and a little bit about my thoughts on getting started with fish keeping. So I hope you enjoyed that, and if you want to leave a comment, that's snazzy. If you want to create an account on the bulletin board app there and leave comments and discussion, that's snazzy. So far, I have one friend on there that tested it with me a little bit. So anyway, it is what it is, and I hope you have a great day and enjoy some talk about fish keeping. Now we're going to see if my remote will turn this off.